It's August 2nd. It's the 14th day of counting towards the first fruit of the oil, which means that we are rapidly approaching the fall feast season, trumpets, atonement, and Sukkot. Wow, it's going to be here before you know it. I know at Faith Works, we're going to be doing a yard sale this coming week on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Take a break on Shabbat and then finish it up on Sunday. And we're just praying that we can get rid of a lot of stuff, because when you get rid of that stuff, then your life is not cluttered. When your life is cluttered, it's not functional, because you've got too many things that you have to keep in the back of your mind. I think that's one of the reasons why in the book of Deuteronomy, just shifting to the study, in the book of Deuteronomy, which is where I want you to turn for the morning, Deuteronomy chapter 1, why Moses takes the time to reiterate their journey. It's important that he reiterates everything inside of the journey. But strangely enough, he doesn't go back to the beginning of the Exodus or the plagues or the crossing of the Red Sea or the Mount Sinai experience where they came into covenant relationship and the mountain is on fire. No, he picks up the story with everything dealing with entering the land. There are three things that I've told you over the years. I said, if you learn nothing else from me, remember these three things. Remember, number one, where you've been. Remember your past. Know your past. Know your successes. Know your failures. That's important. Your successes and your failures can't be what you cling to. Your failures can't be a shackle around your ankle. No, it can't be that way. Your successes can't be, your trophies, your closets. I remember when I was younger, I was athletic and I had walls of trophies and medals and ribbons and things. And I remember when I got married, I got rid of them all. And you say, what? And the Lord impressed upon me, Alan, why are you living off of your past accomplishments? I'll always remember. I'll always remember. But I don't need to have those physical things just cluttering stuff up. You can't live off your successes, because what that will do is that will produce complacency. And I shared that with you yesterday morning in your morning study about, am I a star? Are you a star? Do you have the qualities and the characteristics of a star? And that fact that God numbers the stars and names the stars, and he knows them by name. But when you've got a massive amount of stars in the sky, what that does is that produces a feeling of strength, security, power, authority. When you're with a large group, you feel secure. But at the same time, when you've got everything you want and you're surrounded with everything you need and you have power and authority and provision and everything, you get complacent. And complacency is one of the greatest weapons from the enemy, because I'm satisfied. Yeshua died for me. He rose again. He sits at the right hand of the Father. I know I'm a child of God, and it produces complacency. And the last thing that I need is to be complacent. I don't want to look back on the month of, for instance, the month of July, and look back and go, well, where did it go? What did I do? What did I accomplish? How did I grow? I don't want to look back and just say, oh, okay, well, I made it through the month of July. Here we are in the month of August. No, here we are in the month of Av. Here we are, we're moving towards, we're moving towards the feast season. Okay, and just time's ticking. I don't want time to tick for you, and I don't want time to tick for me. But I have to stop and think, am I relying upon my past successes? Am I holding on to my past failures? Both will hinder you. And then you have to take inventory where you're at. And this is what Moses is doing in Deuteronomy in chapters 1 through chapter 3. He's going to review where they've been, but he's not talking about every event. He's not talking about every victory, every failure. He's just focusing on the events that have to do with the inheritance that's out in the front. That's why I emphasize on our Zoom calls and in the morning studies that the most important topic to focus in on in Scripture is your inheritance. That is the most important topic in all of Scripture because it's something you can forfeit. I know we should focus in on the Lord's return. That's right. But the Lord's return is going to determine, okay, you're going to stand and be held accountable at that time to determine, will you rule and reign with him in the coming kingdom? Will you obtain the land of your inheritance or will you not? Will you have prioritized everything but God? Or did you prioritize God above all things? I was on the phone with a gal this morning and she says, oh, my day is so busy. I'm going to be doing this. And I said, but it's Shabbat. And she goes, she said, well, these things are more important. And I went, yikes. I said, nothing's more important than your date day with God. Nothing. And because this is the visible, tangible wedding ring that the world sees that shows that you're in covenant relationship with Yahweh. There's only two signs that God gives. One is circumcision, and we don't show that. Number two is Shabbat, is keeping Shabbat. The world sees that and goes, oh, I see, you're a follower of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Oh, you're the follower of the Torah. Oh, you're the keeper of his ways. Oh, you walk in that light. Yes. Taking inventory where you're at. I can't do anything about yesterday, but I can sure do something about today. I can reflect upon yesterday. I can learn from yesterday, and I can grow from yesterday in order to get to my destiny. So never forget where you've been, take inventory where you're at, and never forget where you're going. What's your destiny? And this is what Moses speaks of here in the book of Deuteronomy. And this morning, I want to focus in on a couple of different things. Now, there's so much to be able to say, and I don't know if just time-wise, if I want to go verse by verse. This morning, as I was going verse by verse back through the entire Torah portion, I was praying over every verse and relationship for you and relationship for me. That as I was reading this, that I would stop and think about what really Moses is bringing out to them and why he's bringing it out to them. And as I made mention earlier, it's all about the inheritance. So I want to establish a truth for you this morning. And this truth, I've not established it with you before. I did address it in brief this morning in addressing whenever you're facing a challenge, how do you move forward through that in the four particular options that you have with any trial, any test, anything that you're facing. But I want to go back to a simple topic. And the topic is faith. Now, we all know faith. We all know faith comes by hearing. We know faith without works is dead. We know our verses that actually testify that we know something about faith, belief. But what I want to do for you is I want to uncover for you something more about faith and help you understand what I'm constantly growing in, and that is, why don't I have faith, trust in what God says? Now I'm talking to me. I was mentioning to a person this week at a lunch that I was having, I emphasized, I said, don't you find it strange that God, who is completely faithful, trusts me, who is unfaithful, with the work that he needs to get done? And I, who am unfaithful, inconsistent, here, there, float, distracted, you name it, I, who unfaithful, can't trust him who is completely faithful with the responsibilities that he's given me to do for him. And as I was sharing that with this person, which I've shared that thought a dozen times over the years, as I was sharing that with the person, I just thought, isn't it crazy? Isn't it crazy that he who is faithful trusts me, who's unfaithful, to carry out his work? And I, who am unfaithful, inconsistent as the day is long, am trusted with his work, but I can't trust him with what he's asking me to do, that he'll give me what I need to do it. It's a paradox. It's a conundrum. It's nuts. So look in your Bible to Deuteronomy chapter 1, and I want verse 32, but I'm going to read a few verses before. I'm going to pick up in verse 26, but I want verse 32, and that's what I'm going to build off of. Notwithstanding, you would not go up, but you rebelled against the commandment of the Lord your God. Now, he was talking about the sin of the spies. They had traveled through the sea to Mount Sinai, spent 11 months at Mount Sinai in covenant relationship. They took an 11-day journey to go to the land of their inheritance. They asked Moses if they could send Chamber of Commerce presidents in, spies, to go in and to search out the land and to bring back a report that it really does flow with a land of milk. It is a land that flows with milk and honey. And so they did. But they rebelled against the commandment of the Lord to go up and to take the land, to go take the land of their inheritance, which was promised to Abraham, which is promised to you. If you're in Christ, you're Abraham's seed and heirs according to the promise, from Galatians chapter 3, verse 29, just citing one verse. And you murmured in your tents and said, because the Lord hates us. Now, this is really, really important for you to understand. This statement, he hates us. How could, now you really need to think about this for you. And I'm telling you, I think about this in regards to me and in regards to belief. And what I want to teach you to begin with this morning, I need to ask myself the question, why do I hate God? And you'll say, you don't hate God, you love God. No, they hated, they said, God hates us. How could anybody who had been delivered out of Egypt, had been provided a pillar of cloud to surround them, protect them, nobody was sick, nobody was deaf, nobody was lame, nobody was blind, nobody had any ailments at all, nobody. Their shoes didn't wear out. Their clothes didn't wear out. Their clothes actually grew as they grew. They never had to poop. They never had to pee. They never had issues with scorpions and snakes and heat. They never had any of those types of things against them. How could they say that God hates us? And do you know what? I know I could name, if I just stopped right now, because I've got a Rolodex in my head, I could name people who've seen the power of God in their lives, and then they respond with their response to God by saying, he hates me. And I ask myself the question, how in the world could they say that God hates them after all that God's done? Okay, more to that. But this is what I would put in your notes. Do I ever act like God hates me? Now, that's going to show itself in multiple different ways. Clearly, it's going to show itself in different ways. You know, when you feel that somebody hates you, you want to avoid them like the plague. You stay away from them. You don't talk to them. You don't fellowship with them. You don't do anything with them when you feel that somebody hates you. Do you feel like God hates you? Now, I know you would never say that God hates me. You would never say that. But do you act like God hates you? And if we went back to Numbers chapter 13 and 14, where this story is being summarized from, we would find that the people were acting like God hates them. And they're saying, why did he even bring us out of Egypt anyway? Why did he bring us out of the land of milk and honey? Why did he bring us out into this wilderness to die? Why did he bring us out where there's no malls and fast food restaurants? Why did he bring me out here? Man, I wish I had the cucumbers and the leeks and the onions and the garlics. Man, we had it good. We had fishing out the wazoo. We were free. But now we're here. Man, why does God do that? God hates us. And of course, I know you would never say that, but I'm just asking, do you live like he hates you? Now, if you think he loves you, you know what you'll do. Well, what do you do with people who love you? Oh, you want to spend more time with them because they love you. Everybody gets their love tank filled. That's what we want. We want more love. We want to spend more time with people who are loving. Do I really believe he loves me? I know we say that in our sermons. God loves me. God loves me. Do I really believe that? If I really believe that, sorry, Pakistan calling. So if I really believe that, does my action show? Keep reading. Because the Lord hates us, he's brought us forth out of the land of Egypt to deliver us into the hand of the Amorites to destroy us. Now, that's going to be really important to remember the Amorites, okay? Because this morning, once we get done with this concept of belief, I want to ask you a question and explain to you part of the answer as to why in the world does this Torah portion focus so much on the giants in the land? Because you and I would read it and we would just say, okay, blah, 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 blah. But when you start looking at this, you go, holy schmoles. God is emphasizing over and over and over through Moses, giants, 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 giants in the land. Wow, what's up with that? So my reason for saying, well, why am I focused on belief this morning and on giants? And those should be two words that your notes should have highlighted for today. Belief, giants. Belief and giants. Where shall we go up? Our brethren have discouraged our heart, saying the people is greater and taller than we. The cities are great and walled up to heaven. And moreover, we've seen the sons of the Anakims. Now, the Anakims, and I'm going to deal with Anak. We're not going to go through all of the passages in Samuel and Chronicles and things that detail the size of these individuals. We know from archaeology, true archaeology, not the dinosaur made up evolution archaeology, but we know from archaeology that we have skeletal bones all intact from these giants. And prior to the flood, these giants were even bigger giants, according to books like Jubilee uh, and some of the extra biblical writings. They were like 200, 300 feet tall. But after the flood, they weren't 200, 300. They were only, 12 to 18 feet. Holy cow, could you imagine? I'm 5'11". When I'm wearing brand new tennis shoes or dress shoes, I'm 6 feet. And so can you imagine looking up to somebody who's twice your height? Okay, so they were Anakims. They were these giants that were there. And the people were saying, God hates us. He hates us so much that he's bringing us out to where we have to face the Amorites, the Anakim, and all the Zazumims, and all of the different giants that we're going to address this morning. Keep reading in verse 29. Then I said unto you, dread not, don't be afraid of them. The Lord your God, which goes before you, he will fight for you according to all that he did for you in Egypt before your eyes. Now, what's interesting is Moses never said that. When you go back to Numbers chapter 14, you find out it wasn't Moses who said that. This was the mindset of Joshua and Caleb. However, they were one in mind. He may have said it in his own mind. He may have said in his heart, he goes, look, don't be afraid. Let's go get them. Aaron and Moses fell on their face. Joshua and Caleb were the ones who said, look, these guys are bread for us. These guys are meat. Let's go eat them up. Let's go devour them. Let's go get them. If God's with us, we've got favor. Let's go kick their heinies. Verse 31, and in the wilderness where you have seen how that the Lord your God bare you, as a man does bear his son, in all the ways that you went until you came to this place. Look, boys and girls, talking to the second generation that's getting ready to go into the promised land, he says, look at what God has done. That's why I've always emphasized to you, never forget where you've been, always take inventory where you're at, and never forget where you're going. This should be something you do every day. It is something mandatory that you should do on Shabbat, because it's the pattern that's established in Genesis chapter 2. When people ask me, what do you do on Shabbat? I say, well, I'll tell you what, the first thing that I do, I go back through the previous 6 days, and I go through Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and I go through the events, I go through my studies, I go through my reflections, I go through my work week, I go through my interaction with the people, I go through all the things that deal with how did God provide for me, but I never, ever, ever look at the negative things, ever, on Shabbat, ever. Because God doesn't do that. On Shabbat, he only deals with the things that are blessing, that are fruitful, that are abundant, that are satisfying, that are good. That's what you do on Shabbat. It's not a day of quarreling. It's not a day of kindling a fire. It's not a day of that. It's your date day with the Messiah. On your date day, you give him the best that you've got. You celebrate, rejoice with him on this day. You reflect upon his goodness. And this is what Moses is saying. He's saying, look, boys and girls, don't you understand where you're at? Now look at verse 32. This is the verse that I wanted to bring you to in order to be able to establish for you belief. Now, this is what I'd like to give to you for your notes. For your notes, this is just a really important statement. Why don't I believe in people? Okay, let's make this really, really practical. There's people in your life that you don't put your trust in. There's people in your life that you don't believe. There's people in your life that you don't want to be in the same bunker as them. They're not your bunker buddies. There's some people in your life that you can't turn your back on them because you can't trust them as far as you can throw them, and you're afraid they're going to stab you in the back. Why don't I trust some people? Okay, that's a question that I want to ask. And then I want to ask the question, why don't I trust God? Why don't I trust God? And I will tell you that there are at least 3 specific truths that you must hold to if you're going to place your faith in something, in someone, in an entity known as God, the Lord our God. There's 3 things. And when you have all 3 of these things, then you'll have faith in God. You'll trust in God. But if any one of these 3 are lacking, you will not have faith in God. I didn't say you don't believe that there is a God. I didn't say that you don't believe that there's a creator in this world. I said your belief in God, your trust in God, your emunah in God. And for your notes, emunah is E-M-U-N-A-H, emunah. Why don't I trust in God? Why don't I have faith in God? Because we don't reflect upon the 3 essential ingredients that are required to put your trust in someone or something. So it says in verse 32, yet in this thing you did not believe the Lord your God. Now I want to take you back to the very first truth that you must have in relationship to another person or in relationship to God in order to have faith in that person or to have faith in God. I want to take you back to the book of Exodus, and I want to just take you on a journey through at least 3 specific principles that I need, that you need in your life to know that you really believe in God, or that you believe in so-and-so. I believe in my friend. I believe in my spouse. I believe in my kids. I believe in the government. I believe in, well, that one we probably would have to say no to. Look at chapter 4, verse 31. Now, Moses returns to Egypt. This is before any of the miraculous plagues. He comes back, he talks to the elders, he tells them this is God's game plan, this is what the Lord's going to do. Look at verse 31. And the people believed, and when they heard that the Lord had visited the children of Israel, and that he looked upon their affliction, then they bowed their heads and worshiped. Now, this is the first characteristic that an individual who has faith in someone or faith in God must have, and they do have. They need to know that that individual is empathetic, that they have empathy towards me, that they look upon my situation, that they see the challenge that I'm facing, that they understand the bondage that I'm in, that I'm in the conflict that I'm in, the struggle that I'm in. And this is what happened. The people believed. Why did they believe? Because Moses says, look, God sees what you're going through. God hears the cries of what you're going through. He knows what you're going through, and he's going to rescue this. He's going to rescue you from you. And so you go, okay. Empathy. So let me emphasize something to you, which is so important. I need to, and you need to understand, if anybody's going to put their faith and trust in you in regards to anything, I'm not talking about you being on the same level as God. I'm talking if somebody's going to have faith, trust in you, they need to know you understand where they are. If you don't understand where I am and what I'm going through, I'm not going to put my eggs in your basket. Oh, I might be friendly to you. You might be a friend, but I don't put my trust in you. I don't believe in you. I don't rely upon you. I don't depend upon you. You know, if there's one thing that I would tell you is the most important truth, is to know that somebody's dependable. We've just learned the past couple of weeks. When you say you're going to do something, you get it done. Dependability. That is the highest, that's the most important. You need to be dependable. Completely dependable. You say you're going to do it, you do it. You move heaven and earth to get it done. If you don't get it done, it wasn't because you were twiddling your thumbs or distracted. It's because, hey, something just didn't fall into place and you couldn't overcome it. Okay, that's what we were talking about a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about vows. So this is really, really important, that in order to place your faith in someone or in God himself, you need to know that that person is empathetic in your life. Now, I want to take you a few chapters further to one of my favorite in the book of Exodus, to chapter 14. And in Exodus chapter 14, which I wrote to you about this morning, I want you to look at verse 31. At the end of crossing through the Red Sea, and the waters closed over the Egyptians, and the Egyptians had washed up onto the shore. Look at verse 31. And Israel saw that great work which the Lord did upon the Egyptians, and the people feared the Lord, and they believed the Lord and his servant Moses. Belief begins with empathy. I place my belief in someone or in something because I believe that they understand what I'm going through. So they're very, very relatable to me. I also need to know, characteristic number 2, that they have the power, the authority, the ability to be able to carry me through. They know I'm afraid at the sea. They know that the enemy's coming. They know. But they know that God is able to do a great work. And when the people stepped into the sea as dry ground, they walked across, they came to the other side, knowing that God was capable of doing it. God did it with reflection. They looked back and they said, he did it. You put your faith in something, someone who believes in you, who knows you, who empathizes with you, who understands your fear, who understands those types of whatever you're going through. And that individual has the ability, physically, spiritually, emotionally, relationally, financially, to be able to deliver you. And so you put your trust in them because they have the capacity to be able to do it. Now go over a couple of chapters to Exodus chapter 17. In Exodus chapter 17, I want you to look at verse 12. Because this is probably the best definition for faith. Now, Joshua is down kicking some major bullhunkus on Amalek. He's discomfiting him with the sword. Moses, Aaron, and Hur are on top of a hill. Moses' arms are up. Aaron and Hur are steadying his arms. Verse 12. But Moses' hands were heavy, and they took a stone and put it under him, and he sat thereon, and Aaron and Hur stayed up his hands. See that word stayed up? At least that's what the King James says. It's the word they made his arms steady. It's the Hebrew word emunah. It's the word for faith. Stable, trustworthy, steadfast, holding up, the ability to do, consistent. That's faith. That's faith. When they were able to hold up, trustworthy, dependable, that's faith. And this is important because it's in this faith that we go, wow, okay. I really believe God can do it. I'm putting my trust in him. I believe in him. He knows me. He cares for me. He understands my fears. He understands my worries. He understands my concerns. He understands everything. He knows me. I'm believing in this guy. He's drawing me closer to put my trust in him. Now go another couple chapters and go to Exodus chapter 19. Now, here's the final one that I'm going to cover for you, but there's more. But these are the big three. Now, here's the thing. As I was talking to a person, witnessing to a person this week, and this person was struggling in their faith with God, and they were struggling with their victory over specific habits in life. And I said to them, I said, have you ever stopped to consider why we sin? And the person looked at me and they said, because we just want to do what we want to do. And I said, well, that's true. But I said, do you know why we want to do what we want to do? And the person said, I don't know. And I said, well, I can tell you. Now, this is worth writing down in your notes because this is part of that second phase of God's ability to be able to deliver you through whatever it is that you're going through. I'll make this dogmatic statement. The dogmatic statement, you can take it to the bank. The reason that I sin, the reason that I transgress his Torah, the reason that I do what I do, that's contrary to the ways of God. Here it is. Drum roll, please. The reason why I do it, and I would venture to say the reason why you do it, is because you don't believe God is going to do what God said he's going to do if you're obedient. You think, I think, that I'm going to do what I want to do because it's going to produce the results that are best for me, not being obedient to God to do the things that he wants me to do, believing that the outcome will be better than my choice in sin. It's simple. I don't trust God to keep his word. So therefore, I'm going to do what I think I should do. Why I'm going to do it? Because I think by me doing what I want, when I want it, according to the way that I want to do it, that my results will be better than what God's results would be if I was obedient to what his word says. 100% across the board, that's why we sin. Because we want what we want now, and we think what we're going to do is going to produce the effect that's better than what God's promises in his words. We don't believe his word. We don't trust him. We don't have faith in him. We don't believe that he's going to part the sea. That's why we panic and freak and say, let's just go back to Egypt. We're afraid to face the giants. We don't know how to face the giants. God's not going to give us victory over the giants. Are you kidding? They're at least 12 feet tall. Some of them are 18 feet tall. Some of them are 30 feet tall. Some of them are so big that we can't get past them. There's no way. They've got walled cities. Now, don't forget, gang, walled cities versus no walled cities is the difference between a people that are scared versus a group of people who are not scared. Scared have walls. Not scared don't have walls. Now, let me go back and give you more details on this, because we're getting ready to venture off into the giants after we get done reading this one verse. When I stop to look at my life, you ask, well, Alan, do you have walls in your life? And I'll go, you bet I do. I have walls for one of two reasons. One, I'm protecting myself from an enemy who wants to come in. Number two, I want to keep that which is good protected on the inside. And I'm afraid, this is me, just being transparent, I'm afraid that if I don't have walls, if I don't have barriers, if I don't have boundaries, I'm afraid that I'm not strong enough to be able to encounter a stranger who's ready to attack me or bamboozle me or hornsnaggle me or take advantage of me. I'm not strong enough. So I need protective walls. But the individuals who don't have walls, they're not afraid. They trust completely in God, that he's able to do whatever. Now, when I look at the city of Jerusalem, it had 10 gates all the way around it from Nehemiah. The story of Nehemiah details these out for us. Each one of those walls, portions of the wall, had a gate to allow some things in and some things out. And many of you already know the meaning of each one of those gates in relationship to your relationship in Messiah as the New Jerusalem. There's going to be people who are going to be able to go into the New Jerusalem and people who are not going to be able to go to the New Jerusalem. They have to go through a gate, through a mateh, through a matot, through a rod, through one of the 12 tribes, as we talked about last week. So walls they're pretty significant and they're pretty important. And I have walls because I don't want to get hurt again. I keep getting hurt by people that I wanted to trust, but I can't trust them because they're not trustworthy. They're not empathetic and they don't have the power. They say they have the power, but they don't have the power to be able to deliver me through my stuff. Those are people I don't put my faith in. If they can't do the first two, then I don't put my trust. I don't put my faith in them. I don't put my emunah on them. But looking now at Exodus chapter 19, verse 9. And the Lord said unto Moses, Lo, I don't think it was because he was afraid of heights. Lo, I come to you in a thick cloud, that the people may hear when I speak with you and believe you forever. And Moses told the words of the people to the Lord. Now, what does this have to do with belief? Well, it has everything to do with belief. Because the instructions that are given in Moses are so profound because they are the blueprint, the guidelines, the compass, the roadmap for your future. 3 areas of belief. 1, if I'm going to believe in somebody, if I'm going to believe in God, that belief means that 1, I know that that individual is empathetic. That individual is listening. You've heard me say 100 times, God gave you 2 ears, 1 mouth. Use them in proportion. We don't do that. Most people don't do that. We're so busy, we just need to be heard. Yakety yak, 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 yak. We're not really listening. We're just in the same room talking. Yakety yak, yak, yak. I'm thinking about something else. That's why when I communicate with people, for me personally, I like eyeball to eyeball. Not you're talking to the back of my head, I'm talking to the back of your head. I like eyeball to eyeball. I need to know that person knows what I'm going through. I need to know that they are feeling my pain, feeling my fear. I know that that person, that individual needs to have the power to help me through what I'm going through. And finally, that person has to have the ability to be able to give me guidance for the future. Those are the things that God does. He understands you. He knows you. He's identified you. He empowers you. He gives you the ability to make it through something. And then on top of that, he gives you a blueprint through Moses to guide you the rest of the way. I can put my trust, my faith, my dependence, my reliability upon him. But if I don't reflect upon all that God has done, if I don't reflect upon that, if I'm, always thinking about my fears and my worries and my future, and I forget about everything that he's done in the past, I won't have faith. And then, like Yeshua said to his disciples, oh, ye of little faith, have you forgot? Have you forgot what I did? I not only know who you are, I pulled you through. That's what Shabbat's about. Shabbat is look back over your week. I'd write this down in your notes if this isn't a habit of yours. I would write in your notes, hey, what did God help me through this week? And some people might say nothing. And I'd go, well, you're here. So if you're here, obviously he helped you through a bunch of stuff. So we just tend to forget. But I don't think this is something we should forget. I think this is something we should remember to believe. It's important. There's so much to be able to say. Let's go back to the book of Deuteronomy. And let's finish up with the focus of where I wanted to take you. I'm gonna focus my time in chapter 2, and I want to highlight specific verses for you. And then I want to give you a summation of everything. And I want you to think about them. And really, I want to encourage you to pray diligently about this today. Take time to pray and to recognize these things. Chapter 2. Then we turned and took our journey into the wilderness by the way of the Reed Sea, as the Lord spoke unto me, and we encircled, compassed Mount Seir many days. And the Lord spoke unto me, saying, have you compassed this mountain long enough? It's time for you to move on. I wrote to you about this earlier this week. Don't you think it's about time to move on? I mean, really? And I'm not talking about moving on from people, though that might be true. Don't you think it's time that you move on from your mindset? You've been going around the same mountain for a long time. Don't you think it's time for a change of scenery? That's what Lord told Moses. They had spent 38 years. It's time to move on, boys and girls. It's time to move on. Command the people, saying, you're to pass through the coast of your brethren, the children of Esau, which dwell in Seir. Seir would be modern day Jordan today. And they shall be afraid of you. Take good heed to yourselves, therefore. And notice what it says. Don't meddle with them. For I will not give you of their land, not so much as a footbreadth, because I've given Mount Seir to Esau for a possession. You say, well, wait a minute. Wasn't Esau the one who wanted to kill Jacob? Wasn't Esau the one who forfeited his birthright? Wasn't Esau the one who despised his birthright? Wasn't Esau the one who married foreign wives? Wasn't he? He was. But he was still his brother. Listen very carefully. Listen really, really carefully with your ears open in the deepest way and your heart wide open. Some of your brothers in the seed of Abraham, they don't have the same perspective as you. Don't meddle with them. Don't spin your wheels on them. Don't waste your time on them. Leave them alone. Don't try to convince them. Don't beg and plead with them, because what they end up doing is they treat you like hooey-pooey. And then you keep coming back to them and begging them. They get the best of both worlds. Don't meddle with them. You've got people in your life like that. Don't meddle with them. He says, I've got them taken care of. I've given them land. But when you're dealing with them, deal with them very upright. Buy the meat, buy the water, pay for your goods, do those, live a Torah-based lifestyle, but don't meddle with them. Don't try to convince them. Live a lifestyle that will change them. And that'll be the difference. Verse 7, for the Lord your God has blessed you in all the works of your hand. He knows you're walking through this great wilderness these 40 years. The Lord your God has been with you, and you've lacked nothing. That's why I always tell you, reflect on where you've been, because they lacked nothing. You say, well, wait a minute. Yeah, there was a few days they were without bread. Yeah, there was a few days they were out of water, where they ran out of water, and God was testing them. But he provided for them readily and immediately, and none of their needs were lacking. And we addressed those earlier. And when we passed by from our brethren, the children of Esau, which dwelt in Seir, Jordan, through the way of the plain from Elath, from Ezion, Geber, we turned and passed by the way of the wilderness of Moab. And the Lord said unto me, don't distress the Moabites, neither contend with them in battle, for I will not give you of their land in possession, because I've given Ar unto the children of Lot for a possession. Now Lot was Abraham's nephew. Lot and Moab and Ammon were children of Lot, connected to Abraham. Look, he's saying you got an Esau in your life. You've got a Moab in your life. And Moab's name literally means little incest. That's what his name literally means, because he was the fruit of a father doing the hoochie coo PG-13 with a daughter and producing Moab. The little father from the father, little incest. Look, he's still part of the family. There's people in your family who are probably not your most favorite people in the world. God's got them taken care of. Don't try to force them. Don't try to do anything to make them do, just to walk like you and to be like you and to accomplish things like you. Don't do it. Just leave them be. He says, don't distress the Moabites. Don't worry, I've given them their possession. Now, the focal point of where I want to take you to finish up the study. And if you write in your Bible, then like I do, and I'm thinking I'm probably not going to get to what I sent to you on your text message this morning. But I circled in my Bible, and I draw lines and I connect all of these. So you see the word emims in verse 10. The Emims dwelt therein in times past. There are people great and many, and they're tall as the Anakims. So I circle Emims in my Bible, and I circle the word Anakims in my Bible, which also were accounted giants. I circled giants because the word giants there is Nephilim. And as the Anakims, but the Moabites called them Emims. Now, the Horims, I circled the Horims, also dwelt in Seir before time, but the children of Esau succeeded them when they had destroyed them from before them and dwelt in their stead, as Israel did unto the land of his possession, which the Lord gave unto them. So Esau actually destroyed the Horims, which were also giants in the land, which came from Nimrod. Nimrod, back in Genesis chapter 11, was a giant. He wasn't just a man, he was a giant. Before the flood, there was incredible giants. After the flood, the seed of that giant was still passed on. Pick up in verse 16. So it came to pass when all the men of war were consumed and dead from among the people. Now in verse 19, and when you come near over against the children of Ammon, which are giants, don't distress them, nor meddle with them. For I will not give you the land of the children of Ammon any possession, because I've given it unto the children of Lot for a possession. So don't mess with the Moabites, don't mess with the Ammonites. They're connected to Lot, which is connected to Abraham. And don't worry, just don't even distress them. Don't try to convince them. Don't try to do anything. Just live your life the way you're supposed to. God will deal with them. He'll give them their proper inheritance. Verse 20. That also was accounted a land of giants. Giants dwelt therein in old time, and the Ammonites call them Zamzumims. Now, I've used the term with you before, Zimzum, which is a Hebrew term which means something which was massive is constricted into something smaller. This is what God did whenever he created the earth, the world, the universe. He took him who is all-consuming and he limited himself to time and space with us, to dwell amongst us. Zamzumims are individuals that are from the angelic world, and they've contracted themselves and they've made themselves smaller to where they're just giants. There's giants. Verse 21, a people great and many and tall as the Anakims. And I circled Anakims again. But the Lord destroyed them before them, and they succeeded them and dwelt in their stead. Verse 23, and the Avims, I circle that, which dwelt in Hazarim unto Azan Caphtorims, which came forth out of Caphtor, destroyed them and dwelt in their stead. Now look over at verse 30. Before I go there, let me back up to verse 24. So he says, get up, rise up, take your journeys and pass over the river Arnon, which is a very significant place. Behold, I've given into your hand Sihon, the Amorite king of Heshbon, and his land. Begin to possess it and contend with him in battle. Now you're going to have to face that dude. This day, pay close attention. This is very important. This day will I begin to put the dread of you and fear of you upon the nations that are under the whole heaven, who shall hear report of you and shall tremble and be in anguish because of you. Why? Why will the people, why will the nations, why will the giants, why will the pagans, why will they be scared to death? Because they know you have faith. They know you put your trust in a God who is empathetic, a God who is powerful to deliver you, and a God who gives you direction for the future. And when you walk in obedience to them, to that instructions, to that God, to that one who knows you, the nations will go, they're doing amazing things. We're scared to death. See, we're scared to death of our governments. We're scared to death of what the witches think. We're scared to death of what Hollywood thinks. We're scared to death of what our work associates think. These are giants in our lands, and these are little pipsqueaks compared to what these guys were facing. but we're scared to death of them. We're afraid of what people think. I hope I don't offend them. I don't want to say the wrong thing, because if I offend them, oh my stars. We're scared to death. But little do we realize that they're afraid of you and your obedience to God and your belief in him. Look in verse 30. But Sihon, king of Heshbon, would not let us pass by, for the Lord your God hardened his spirit. Now, this is not the word kazak. He didn't kazak him. He kashad him. He hardened him. He put him underneath some duress and made his heart obstinate, that he might deliver him into your hand, as appears this day. In verse 33, the text that I sent you this morning from a picture from my Chumash, and the Lord our God delivered him before us, and we smote him. That word smote. It has a large kaf, sofit, on the end of it. You say, well, that doesn't mean anything to me. Okay, and you say, well, now what was that you gave me a picture of? Okay, let me, if you didn't get it, I'll be happy to send it to you, but let me pull it up for you. And I'll just show it to you here. So where it says, and we defeated, you can see that that last letter on the end that kind of looks like a large staff, that's a kaf. That's a kaf sofit. It's enlarged. And in Hebrew, where it's, and we defeated, or we smote, what that's telling us is God's drawing special attention to that. And every Torah scroll on the face of the planet's got it. Everyone's got it. And so you say, well, why? Because a kaf in scripture is an open hand. And when it says, and we smote them, it's like somebody slapping you in the face. But at the same time, it comes at a surprise. You usually don't get somebody slapping you in the face when you anticipate it. You might get a knuckle to the nose or to the back of the head, or a kidney punch, okay, or to the throat, okay, wherever. That's a punch. You see that coming. But a slap is, whoa, I didn't expect that. But a slap, this enlarged kaf sofit at the end of the word, is significant because it's the hand of God. I'm giving you, I'm gifting this to you. I'm providing this enemy in your hand. Look at chapter 3, verse 1. Then we turned and went up in the way to Bashan, and Og, the king of Bashan, came out against us, and all his people to battle at Edrei. That's back in Numbers chapter 21. All of these are giants. Giants, 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 giants everywhere. Why in this Torah portion is there so much focus on our past giants? Because he's telling you, look, you're going to have giants in the land. But look, I've already defeated these giants in the past. Esau defeated giants. You defeated giants. You defeated Og. You defeated Sihon. The giants in the land, they are panicking. They are in fear. Just believe me. Please walk where I want you to walk. That's why Moses is telling them everything from their past, with a focus to their present, to the mindset they have to have to the future. That they would believe, that they would know that God cares, he knows them, that he has the power to deliver them, and that he has a blueprint in their life to say, let's go get it done. It's all about the inheritance. Let me end the call and open up any questions or any comments that you might have, and wishing you a great Shabbat.